Hey there, welcome to the First of the Worst podcast. Hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I just wasn't moving, actually.
Okay. Welcome back to the First of the Worst podcast. I'm Brendan Murphy.
And I'm Steve Arendis.
And today, as we discussed last week, yesterday was the official start of drinking season, so happy drinking season to you, Steve.
Happy drinking season, Brendan. Did you kick it off well?
I did. You know what? I basically sat on the same bar stool for 9 hours, which I think is like a pretty solid way to spend St. Patrick's Day, or unofficial St. Patrick's Day, or the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day, whatever you want to call it.
At least you didn't call it St. Party's Day, because that's the worst one I've heard.
Well, I also don't like calling it unofficial because that's like a University of Illinois thing.
That's a different thing. It's a different day.
And It's actually a different day. So it's not even unofficial St. Patrick's Day. That was last Saturday.
Yeah, I just sat on a roof deck and drank 1,000 Guinness. Is the
And
plural of Guinness Guinness?
Guinness?
I like to go like get the same word, maybe.
Guinnesses.
I go
probably, the plural of Guinness is probably Guinness.
like deer.
Yeah.
It was a good time. It was amazing outside.
It is today again, too. You know, as we covered last week, I was in Orlando, and my phone will, like, just keep going to the place I was previously for the weather. So, like, on, like, Monday, it was, like, 81 degrees, and I was like, that's obviously not correct. So today I got it was 73 degrees in Orlando, and it's, like, 61 degrees in Chicago. So, and we have all the benefits of not living in Orlando.
Which is every other benefit besides weather.
Yeah. So we had a false start to this because the carbon monoxide detector in my apartment was going off. And Steve, we had the mic all set up, and how loud was it for you?
It was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life.
The mic was basically pointed exactly at the carbon monoxide detector, which is already ear-piercing. My whole building thinks something's going on up here. And then because they want to make this as impossible as possible, I had to find a screwdriver to take the battery out. I couldn't just take the battery out.
See, I like that you just took the battery out and you aren't worried about the fact that you could die during this podcast.
This podcast is worth life and death to me.
I'm going to be watching to make sure you don't start fading.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I opened a window next to me. So, I mean, I'm taking, like, minor precautions, just not major precautions.
Could be huge for downloads, though, if you die in this.
I'll tell you, yesterday I did some viral marketing at the bar. Every time someone comes to me, be like, hey, you got an iPhone? Go to iTunes, search First of the Worst, and that little button that says subscribe, hit it.
Does that work out a few times?
I probably got us a handful of subscribers.
Well, welcome to any of those people who drunkenly met Brendan at the bar last night.
And they probably have already unsubscribed. Or they will be after this podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is a unique week for us. We're doubling down on podcast.
Yeah.
The first will be this one, which is going to be Hollywood-centric. And the second will be a First of the Worst special, NCAA tournament special. We're periodically going to have these specials. There's not really a set plan.
No, it's just when we want to talk about something and it doesn't really fit into our mold of our podcast.
No, but there will be lists. We've already discussed there will be lists. They might not be the center of it, but we each will be doing lists.
That's for sure going to happen.
So that's
all right.
But I want to introduce this week's topic.
Yeah, let's jump into it. This week it's kind of a throwback to the original list almost. Our original list we've often referenced was Vince Vaughn movies, and we're kind of rolling back with that, but this time it's Will Smith movies.
It was technically Vince Vaughn movies after Swingers, but we really didn't need to do that. Swingers just would have been number one.
Yeah, we didn't need to do it.
I don't know why it came up that way, but it did.
But Will Smith movies here is going to be interesting. I was doing some serious IMDb research, even a little Rotten Tomatoes research. And what were your qualifications here for ranking these?
I just did kind of the ones that okay, so there were a few I hadn't seen because Will Smith's been in about 35 movies.
Yeah.
And especially like the last 10 years, although he's slowed down considerably, I probably haven't seen a Will Smith movie since like 2008.
Yeah, so I kind of judged them based off of what I've seen, whether I'd be willing to see it.
Yes.
And and whether I'd want to see it again if it's a movie I've already seen, if it's a movie I haven't seen, whether I'd want to see it over these other ones, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting dissection of a career gone wrong.
It's gone wrong.
It
I
was
mean,
mismanaged because it was overmanaged. I
he's
mean,
super overmanaged.
what was that? What was that whole equation that he said he came up with in an interview?
Like him and his agent, it was like if aliens were in a movie, like it made X amount of money. It was like he had all these like equations of what made the biggest blockbusters of all time and what were the most common things in them, and he would just do movies with those.
So it was a career based on a foundation of artistic integrity, I guess is what we're saying.
For sure. Basically, he's like the new Tom Cruise.
Oh, he's white Tom Cruise. They're doing like the same.
I love that you just called him white Tom Cruise.
Or maybe Tom Cruise is. He's black Tom Cruise. Or maybe Tom Cruise is just white Will Smith.
They're both Scientologists too, right?
Yeah, they're both pretty crazy, it seems. I mean, but Will Smith's kids have taken his crazy quotient to another level.
Well, he is the one normal kid, though.
Okay, so break it down. There's Jaden, who's insane.
There's Jaden and Willow. So the two kids that are Jada's kids are crazy. And he has an older son named Trey, who's like not an actor and is like kind of normal.
Probably because he wasn't raised in that household. I'm just going to throw that out there.
He's not that much older, though. He's like in his.
Is he like just the two of us video? Or is that Jaden?
It's probably I don't know. It's actually probably Trey. I don't know for sure though.
I will Google that. Do we have any before we get into this week's list? I always like to ask, and we always forget to ask. Do we have any corrections?
I'm 90% sure we had a correction, and I don't remember it.
Truth and accuracy. That is our motto here, folks.
Always, 100% of the time, every time. Oh, it wasn't as much of a correction as I was told that when we were talking about the Western United States national parks on the family vacations, that like so those places are like 15 hours apart, all of them.
Oh, that was Carly.
Yeah.
And that was definitely true. We totally simplified that as people who have never even pondered that trip until last week.
Yeah. They're like 15 hours.
Yeah, it's like going from Chicago to Philadelphia. They're right next to each other.
You forget how much bigger the Western United States is. Like, it's not divided down the middle.
Yeah. So that is a justifiable correction.
Yeah, for sure.
But don't ever turn to us for geography in the first place.
All right, let's get into this. You have anything you want to jump into before the list? Anything? Any Will Smith tidbits? Anything?
I actually kind of do have a few. I don't know if the movies he turned down. There are two that I found. Django Unchained is kind of the notorious one. Also, The Matrix.
He turned down The Matrix?
He turned down Neo.
Oh, that's like right up his alley too.
The surprising thing about that is, though, that seems to fit every criteria that he would have taken.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't like big enough. Like
I don't know if it was that big a movie because I don't think Keanu was like at the apex of his box office power yet.
Yeah,
and it was short-lived, his box office power, of course, but
yeah, and I know he didn't do Django. He claims because he didn't think he was the lead,
which is true. That role went to Jamie Foxx, and that movie. I mean, he said it was kind of written. That part was written with Will Smith in mind, but the part that Christoph Waltz played was written for him. Yeah,
he basically said Christoph Waltz's character was the lead, and he doesn't want to be the lead unless he lets Jaden be the lead, like in one of the movies I read about on his list.
Yeah, nepotism at its finest. I mean, last week I went to a concert for a band called Tweety, which is Jeff Tweedy's son playing drums with Jeff Tweedy. So Jaden Smith is not alone in this.
No, not at all.
In this nepotism thing.
All right, let's start it up. What's your number 10?
My number 10 is okay. This is mostly just because I wanted to talk about these movies. I've seen none of the three of them. So I did a group because I feel like they're the same movie, and I know that there's probably some significant differences. After Earth / iRobot / I Am Legend. Okay, After Earth and I Am Legend are the same movie. iRobot's different, but
let's get into this. I've seen two of those movies.
Okay, all right.
I want to talk about After Earth because it's not on my list. So this is as good a time as any to talk about After Earth. The best thing I've learned about After Earth, which I have not seen, that's the one I haven't seen, is Will Smith's character in the movie is named Cypher Rage.
That sounds like a guy from Street Fighter.
Yeah, I would pick him in that game too. That's the one that Jaden Smith is actually billed #1.
Okay. So that might indicate why he did it, although it's post-apocalyptic. So basically, it's a very similar theme to I Am Legend, but instead of his dog, he has his son.
I think it's on a different planet, maybe too. Like maybe they go
Okay.
to another Earth that's after Earth. iRobot's not on my list. I saw iRobot in the theater, and it almost became the second movie I walked out on.
Okay.
Basically, it takes place in Chicago, though, in like future Chicago. That's the only interesting thing about it to me. It takes place in weird robot-ridden Chicago in like 2078 or something like that. I don't know what actual year it is.
And was it filmed here?
Yeah, I think so. Or it was all just CGI'd. It looked like it was filmed. I mean, there was a lot of CGI. Like the corn cobs are in it, and like some buildings are in it, but like some futuristic. There's like flying cars and stuff, so it's all like different.
Yeah, I mean, post-apocalyptic movies have never really been my thing, no matter who's in them. But I'm probably not going to pay to go see Will Smith in a place.
It's not what I've heard
that's
from you
only 9/11.
lately. You've gotten really into the Hunger Games.
Oh, that's true. I watched the third one last night when I came home from Teen on Teen Violence at its best, as you told me on Friday. It's a pretty good plot. Although, here's the thing. That's not actually post-apocalyptic, if you want to get technical. Because there is a world in existence, so the apocalypse has not happened.
Well, in the books which I've read, I think everything kind of went to garbage at one point, and then when everything came, like there was like some kind of like pseudo-apocalypse.
So I missed the first 45 minutes of the first movie, and I never have gone back and watched them. So I have.
I don't even know if they explain it in the movie, really, like what happened and how that world got like that.
It's not actually that necessary.
You don't know.
It's funny because you're like, it's the basis of the whole plot, but it's not actually that necessary.
It's not at all. All right. My
So
number
that's
10.
my number 10.
All right. My number 10.
Movies.
As we'll do 10 and 9 since it's Snake Draft.
Snake Draft is our trademark.
Is Hitch, which is a terrible movie. It's so bad. Have you seen Hitch?
It's much higher on my list than your list. So I guess we'll both go through it now. This is the best of the. This is first of the worst. So these are all bad, for the most part, bad movies. Maybe you get to 1, 2, 3. There might be a couple good ones, but
literally the only reason this is on my list is because Eva Mendes is in this movie, and I love Eva Mendes. Not for her acting. Yes,
specifically TBS, not like cable television. It's on TBS once a week. So
Yeah,
I've seen that movie a lot.
That was before Kevin James was really big time Kevin James.
It was Kevin James as fat, quirky supporting actor versus Kevin James as fat, quirky star.
Yeah, pretty much.
But, okay, so list your grievances, and I will try to refute them.
I mean, I don't really have individual grievances. It's just a terrible movie.
I like romantic comedies.
Oh, yeah.
I am a woman. We already highlighted that I'm the woman of every relationship. Maybe we haven't highlighted that on the podcast, but now it's out.
It's totally a rom-com.
I like a rom-com. I like Crazy Stupid Love. That's my favorite recent rom-com with Steve Carell. And Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone and Julian. I mean, it's a very good cast.
You just tied it back around because I'm pretty sure Gosling and Eva Mendes, if not married, have a child together.
They were in a movie. I've seen them in a movie as well. That's an actual awesome movie called The Place Beyond the Pines.
But, yeah, that movie's good. I've never seen it. I've heard it's very good.
Yeah, movie's awesome. I mean, Ryan Gosling's awesome.
Yeah.
In addition,
he does do some weird, like, dark movies. Like, there was the good dark movie Drive, and the other one, which I haven't seen, that everybody says is terrible.
It was kind of a sequel to Drive, but not actually a sequel.
What was that movie called?
Same cast and same director. I don't know. It's on Netflix, and I want to see it, but I don't want to see it because I don't want it to ruin Drive for me. Because Drive was fucking awesome. Pardon me. That will be bleeped. We set some censorship standards last week, and F is where it begins.
I believe it's called Only God Forgives, or that's the name of a Rick Ross album, or maybe both. I'm not sure. I think it's Only God Forgives or something like that.
I'm trying to find it on the internet. Well, anyway, yeah. So there's a sequel to Drive, but it's not really a sequel.
All right, so let's get into my number 9, which
Back to
is
Will Smith and Bad.
is Made in America, which is the only one I think I have on my list where he's technically not the star of the movie. But our standard rule for this is you have to be top 3 listed on IMDb, and he is the 3rd listed person in this movie, which I don't even actually know how he is. So the movie is starring Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson.
At the height of their powers.
Yeah, like for sure at the height of their powers. And like the plot is Nia Long is also in it, who later became Will Smith's love interest on Fresh Prince. But
Did not realize that.
But yeah, the plot is basically that Whoopi was artificially inseminated. It was supposed to be by a black guy. One day they wanted to figure out, Nia Long's character wanted to figure out who her dad was, so they went in and figured it out, and it turned out it was some cowboy played by Ted Danson.
I mean, I will say, I don't know anything about this movie.
I've seen it.
I saw the jacket of the film, and it only had Ted Danson and Whoopi on the cover.
Yeah. It's weird that the Will qualifies in this one because he's listed 3rd. Maybe he was a bigger name than Nia Long. Maybe that's why he got it over her. Because they kind of have like the same level of role. In
this was 1991, and it was a year after the Fresh Prince show was out, so his star was rising, and his first album had come out, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. He might have had multiple albums by then.
Okay, so some Hollywood mainstays.
Yeah, old school stuff. You don't even think about those people anymore unless you watch The View.
Or Curb Your Enthusiasm. Ted Danson is pretty good on that.
Yeah, but I mean that show hasn't been out in like 4 years.
Has it? I feel like they had a season like yesterday.
I wish.
They wait, like they do one like every 4 years, and by the end of it, I'm like, I can't watch this. I'm just too neurotic. I already am at the beginning, but by the end, I'm just like, my skin's crawling.
I love it.
The awkward humor of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I mean, it's perfectly written, which is funny that I say that because it's not actually written.
Oh, I mean, there's like an outline.
There's an outline, but it's not scripted.
All right, so what's your number 9?
I did this strictly because he was nominated for an Academy Award. I have no desire to see this movie. This was the beginning of his nepotism thing. Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, I've never seen this movie. Don't want to see this movie. This was him trying so hard to win an Oscar.
I respect that. I don't know why, but I do.
I don't. Just be Will Smith and be a movie star. Do what you do.
You know, though, like, all right, Sean Penn tries to win Oscars and wins them, and no one says anything about Sean.
But that's all he does. Like, that's his thing. Well, now not. He has an action movie coming out now. He's to the point of his career where he's, like, going into his, like, Liam Neeson stage of his career.
Did you see Kevin Costner try and do a Liam Neeson impression in this last year? And basically a movie that was the exact same plot as Taken.
Yeah. That's the new thing. If you're, like, an old white guy in Hollywood, it's, like, try to, like, go on some action movie tangent.
I can't wait till Wilford Brimley comes out with an action movie. It'll be him chasing his insulin on a motorcycle. He doesn't get it in the next 48 hours, he'll be dead.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. So my number 8, also haven't seen it. More of a nod to what I think was a great movie. It's a sequel. It's also a combo of like the worst producer-director you can have. And they're on the first one of this as well. It's Bad Boys 2. Which I've always philosophized that he did as a favor to Martin Lawrence, because Martin Lawrence's career is very much in the tank.
Well, they're making a 3rd one.
I did see that. But now Will Smith's career is not in great place either. So now maybe he needs the money again.
Yeah, Martin's helping him out this time.
I don't know that Martin never really righted the ship. At the time that movie came out, they were like, we'll get into Bad Boys 1 later, clearly.
Yeah, we'll get into Bad Boys 1. I did not put Bad Boys 2 on my list. It was so disappointing. All right, so I'm on number 8?
Yeah.
Okay, number 8's a movie I've never seen, but this goes into the maybe I would watch this, over all the other Will Smith movies, basically. not over a lot of other stuff. And it's Hancock. Do you know about this movie? Do you have this? Is this?
It did not
anywhere
make
on
my
your
list, but I am familiar with it.
So I'm not into superhero movies. First off, let's get that straight. But he's an alcoholic superhero, which seems a little more interesting to me. And he's like basically a really bad person in this movie, from what I hear. There was a deleted scene, apparently, where he gets wasted at a bar, brings home a girl and hooks up with her, and because he's a superhero, he can't quote unquote finish inside of her, so he pulls out and he blows a hole through the ceiling.
That's like a porno. That's like a pornography plot. I'm very unsurprised that scene was deleted.
Deleted scene. I'm sure Superman had the same problems.
I mean, if you're from another world or have had some sort of confluence of events that made you superhuman, the sexual ramifications are probably pretty aggressive.
So it's not addressed in many superhero movies.
No, and they all have a romantic plot line.
Yeah, the only one I really remember it being addressed is The Watchmen.
Great movie to me, but that's like a totally different formula than a normal superhero movie. Although Hancock seems to be on that different
weird,
formula
yeah, like
as
the
well.
weird thing, yeah. All right, so then my number 7 was also The Pursuit of Happiness, which I've never seen. It's supposed to be good, right?
I mean, it seemingly had better reviews than anything he's done maybe ever. So I guess that makes it good.
He had like 2 movies that like fairly some acclaim, right?
Yeah.
Critically, and I'm sure the other
actually
one
the one I'm going to say next gave him critical acclaim as well.
All right, well then you're up.
6 Degrees of Separation, which he stars in with Stockard Channing and Donald Sutherland. And, I mean, that was 1991, so it was before his, everything with The Fresh Prince and his, like, really big box office movie started to go. And movie, actually, he played a role that challenged him as well.
I did not put that on my list because I have zero desire to see it. Zero at all. And I have zero clue what the movie's about.
He's a con man.
Oh, so like his new movie that inspired this list, Focus.
But he was, I don't exactly remember it. He was a gay con man, but maybe the con was that he was gay.
So we don't know if he was actually gay or if the con was that he was gay?
I've seen it many years ago. And this is how we do our research for this. We're not going to do like a Will Smith movie marathon. We're just going to kind of guess.
Yeah. I can't see Will Smith playing a gay person.
Well, he had to act, which is why I put this on the list.
Did he? I'll leave it at that. What's your next one?
My next one was... Oh, I hate this movie, but we're getting thin here. Men in Black. This was a 4th of July release, I believe the summer after Independence Day, with a guy that I still love as an actor, Tommy Lee Jones. I think I'll give it some uniqueness for the plot.
Yeah, I mean,
it's some points there.
Like, you can't pretend like when you first saw this movie you didn't kind of enjoy it, because you were a lot younger when you first saw it.
I actually remember being like pretty disappointed in this movie when it came out as like a 13-year-old, being like, yeah, that wasn't that great.
I mean, it wasn't great, but as Will Smith movies goes, it's better and more entertaining than most.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is the tallest midget list. They all are, but yeah, I see the point. There's no real argument there. It's not a good movie,
the aliens are very annoying.
Well, Vincent D'Onofrio's character is its own really terrifying being. Like, I feel like that guy is like the gatekeeper at hell. And I've thought about this because I'm going there.
The number one thing that movie gave us is like the reference of like wiping people's minds with that device from the movie.
Also, advertisement for Ray-Bans, and the marketing is working 20 years later still.
Unstoppable. So that was that your number 6?
That's my number 6, yeah.
All right. So then my number 6 is a movie I've also seen in the theater. has to be the most recent Will Smith movie I've seen in the theater, and that's I Am Legend, which was like pretty entertaining actually. I don't understand why they played the song Three Little Birds like 1,000 times during that movie. I think it was like the only album he had.
Oh,
And
I
his
don't think
like,
that would be one of my. Bob Marley's Legend would not be like one of my favorite only album situations.
I mean, I don't even know if it was Legend or if it was the original album, but it was like the only song he even played off of it. It seemed like.
It's a contrast of the dark days ahead and the.
It was just like what kept him sane, I think.
That's funny because it's the only song I heard was that song. I would go insane.
Oh, I love that song. Forever.
I don't dislike it, but it's just like a very. Can get a little annoying.
Might be my all-time favorite song. It's really why this thing gets on the list.
Okay. Well, funny thing is, we've actually discussed doing a list where we list each other's 10 favorite songs and then have the other person rank them. Kind of getting out of our format, but
a really divisive list.
A very divisive list. We feel there's not enough conflict here.
Yeah, we need to figure out more conflict in here.
Embrace the debate, as they would say at my former employer.
Well, I'm clearly Stephen A. Like, there's no debate.
Yeah, so there's no debate in the chair of Stephen A., so I guess that makes me Skip Bayless. I do hate myself, so we're on the same page there.
All right. And then my number 5 is Ali. I just don't care. Like, I know that story, so, like, I don't need to see it. I mean, that's just how I am.
I think it's a really good movie. I have it at number 4. We're going to jump ahead but yeah. I have it upcoming. I think it's a really good movie.
Is it even a top 20 boxing movie?
You know that, like, I have this thing where my 80s film resume is pretty terrible, so I haven't seen, like, Top Gun or any Rocky movie or anything like that. So, I'm really unqualified to make that statement.
Yeah, but there's still like tons of boxing movies that are better than that.
The only thing I can think of that's even a boxing movie is Raging Bull, which is obviously better, and The Great White Hype, which is obviously better than Raging Bull, Rocky, and everything else.
No, it's not. It's better than it's better than
Ali. Comedy that people hate.
Cinderella Man.
Before you panic.
Cinderella Man. You got $1 Million Baby. You got there's so many. Digstown, one of my favorite all-time WGN movies. Digstown, starring James Woods and Lou Gossett Jr. It's on WGN every weekend when I was a kid.
James Woods also might be the gatekeeper in hell. He's a terrifying guy. He and Vincent D'Onofrio might do shifts. Like when they're not shoveling the hot coals, they're gatekeeping.
All right, so what is your number 5?
Sorry, I skipped ahead. My number 5 is Hitch. We kind of got into it.
Okay.
I'm a lover of love. I'm a lover of romance. I could probably use a romance coach in my life.
Yeah, I mean, we got to get Hitch.
We got to get Hitch for Murph. So yeah, I mean, it's a fine movie. It's not good.
It's not good at all, dude. I don't know why. You must. I knew you liked rom-coms, but I didn't know you liked rom-coms enough to put Hitch that high.
I mean, that's pretty high, I'll admit. But I've seen it like thousands of times on TBS.
All right, and then number 4 was Ali.
Number 4 was Ali.
So then we back to me again?
He actually acted in Ali, which is why it can't be higher, because it showed that he has potential. He just doesn't care.
Yeah, he's all about making them money.
Yeah.
He's a movie star, man. He's not an actor. He's a movie star. All right, so my number 4 then? My number 4 is Men in Black, which we've already talked about. Which, I mean, it's fine. Like, I wouldn't really want to watch it now, but I remember enjoying it then, so that's why I put it up there.
Well, one of the problems with some of these that would make you not want to watch them now is that special effects are ever changing.
Yeah.
So special effects at the time that looked amazing aren't. And a movie we both have coming up, you can definitely say that about.
Yeah. Speaking of that, when was the last time you seen Jurassic Park?
God. 15 years?
I saw part of Jurassic Park 2 like a couple months ago, and I remember when those movies came out, thinking that like it was like the best special effects ever. They look terrible.
Do they?
It's so bad. But they was like the biggest thing ever when they came out because of how good they looked.
A great movie. I mean, suspenseful movie. It wasn't just defined by the special effects, which so often happens with those movies.
Yeah. Well, then I'm on number 3. I'm guessing we're gonna have the same top 3, but probably in different orders. I don't know. Hopefully in different orders. But I'm guessing we're gonna have the same top 3.
I might have a red herring in here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you stand on it.
We'll see. My number 3 is Enemy of the State.
Okay, we were gonna have the same top 3.
I mean, it's just kind of like a classic action movie, right?
It's
got a
like
little
a government conspiracy angle. It is Gene Hackman.
Yeah, it's got a little of that. It's got a little fugitive type vibe.
Yeah, it's a good movie. That's
Yeah,
a movie I'll legitimately watch.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what's your number 3 then?
Enemy of State.
Enemy of the State. No, we might go 3 for 3 here. We'll see. I don't know though. We'll see. What's your number 2?
So number 2 is the movie at the time broke. I think the reason you even brought up Jurassic Park is because this movie broke Jurassic Park's box office records, which then Jurassic Park: The Lost World broke the next year. Box office records are worthless because it's all. I mean, it's total gross. It's gross revenue that people pay. So it's just going to rise every year as movie tickets get more expensive.
Yeah, inflation, right?
Inflation and things. But
Yeah.
this was a huge movie. Independence Day was a huge movie.
Yeah, Independence Day was awesome.
It came out on either the 3rd or 4th of July, and it was a good action movie.
Yeah, it definitely came. I think it actually came out on 4th of July. I mean, which is perfect.
The marketing, it was the first movie to ever do a Super Bowl ad. So they're marketing it 6-7 months out, yeah. Or like a Super Bowl ad that when it wasn't in theaters.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know, like
yeah, now it's pretty common.
Just to hype it 6 months out.
Yeah, it's pretty common now.
You have also a very good auxiliary cast, which is very rare in Will Smith's more recent work.
Goldblum.
Goldblum, who everyone loves. Bill Pullman,
also,
who's made to play the president.
Love Bill Pullman. Was
Was
Vivica A. Fox his like wife or girlfriend or something?
She was, and who was the first lady?
I don't remember.
I thought it was someone famous, but either way, pretty standard, not standard for Will Smith at all. I mean, it's a quintessential action movie with a decent plot.
It's because it was early in his career where he didn't just have to dominate everything. Even though he was like the star of the movie, it wasn't quite yet Will Smith dry. That was the movie that like gave Will Smith the platform.
It made him what he is now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that was my number 2 as well. So we're gonna have the same 2 and 1. Unless you're just blowing my mind with your number 1. But because yeah,
I will not be.
So number 1, let's just do it. It's Bad Boys.
Obviously.
Bad Boys is awesome.
The movie's hilarious.
I love Martin Lawrence. I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but I love Martin Lawrence.
Oh, Martin Lawrence has done some very good, well, I don't want to say movies plural, but Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, an all-time underrated comedy. It's hilarious.
I've watched so many Martin Lawrence movies in my life. There's a movie called Blue Streak with this, like, is that like him and Steve Zahn?
I thought it was him and like Robert Downey Jr. or something.
Maybe, you know what, it might be, and I think there's like 2 movies that are exactly the same, and one is Steve Zahn and one's
Luke Wilson is Blue Streak.
Okay.
You insult him by comparing him to Steve Zahn.
I don't know, man. Whose career is better now? Steve Zahn gets in like good TV shows. Luke Wilson just praised that Wes Anderson's going to put him in a movie for 5 minutes.
And his prayers have been answered every single time.
Wes Anderson's keeping Luke Wilson alive, keeping him fed.
Whatever happened to Old School 2? I mean, comedy sequels are their own list. They're terrible, but there was a rumor that was coming out.
Yeah. I would imagine, like, why couldn't you make that? What is Luke Wilson doing? Like we said.
Waiting.
It's not like Will Ferrell won't do it. He'll do
He'll
anything.
do anything. God, that Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart movie.
Vince Vaughn, all those guys.
They love money. So
Well,
yeah,
I guess
Bad
we got.
Boys is back to the topic at hand, which we have gotten off a few times today. Uh, Bad Boys is the best Jerry Bruckheimer movie ever, which is not all that impressive, but there are like 50 to 100 of them.
It's an awesome movie.
It has
Like,
the Bruckheimer Bay directing production combo, which is not good news.
I don't even know what the second best one of those would be. I loved Téa Leoni back then too.
Oh
Was
yeah,
like the
she was like a young up and coming.
Yeah, never really happened.
She's on a TV show now on CBS,
Is
where
she?
she's like basically playing Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State.
I mean, am I gonna watch Bad Boys 3? Probably, but it'll probably be on TBS or TNT or something. I'm not paying to watch it.
I would not pay to see that movie in the theater. No,
I paid for Bad Boys 2 at the theater, and I learned my lesson.
that's a
there.
tribute to the first one. That's like when I go to see like CSNY or something because they used to be good. Fool me once, fool me twice.
Don't
I don't
fool
get
me
fooled
again.
again, as George would said.
Yeah, Bad Boys is great. Like, I'm not even lying. You can confirm this with my wife off the podcast. I watched 20 minutes of Bad Boys last night.
Was it just on TV?
Yeah, it was on TV, and it was like NCAA tournament, not NCAA tournament, but conference tournament games were on, and it was like the beginning. There wasn't like a one at the end to watch. I didn't really care about watching the beginning of Arizona, Oregon, so I watched like 20 minutes of Bad Boys before I like flipped over. And that's also the type of movie where you don't have to watch the whole thing. Like once you've seen it a few times, you can just turn it on for like a half hour and kill some time.
It's a commercial movie for sure. You'll watch it till the commercial.
Yeah.
And you may or may not flip back.
I feel like movies like that have really suffered in like the last 10 years because like back in the day when you did before like cable boxes had like menus and you just had to like flip through the channels, you would watch a movie like that way more often.
Oh yeah. I mean, or you'd watch the preview channel.
and then you turn away
until it scrolled through all the channels, which was not like it is today. There were like
60 or 70.
60 of them to see what was on.
And you somehow inevitably turn away.
How to scroll through all 60 channels.
And you turn away at the exact wrong time, and then you have to go through it again. At least that happened to me every single time.
But when I was a little kid, I loved watching the preview channel just to watch the previews of the upcoming WWF events, even though it was the same preview.
Like
So,
SummerSlam.
Survivor Series is around the corner. I need to watch how The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan are going to wrestle each other 5 times to get excited. And then bother my parents incessantly until they paid $35 to get it.
Oh, man, you're lucky. I never got the... I don't think they wanted me watching it.
I had a friend who got all of them. I only think we got a few.
Yeah.
But yeah, the preview channel. I mean, just everyone, the media in this era is just so dramatically different in every way.
Yeah, I used to watch infomercials. How do infomercials even exist anymore? Like, you literally have to be going through the guide and be like, I want to watch this infomercial. Click.
Infomercials come on when you're in an intense poker game for like 5 hours, and there was a football game on CBS. Then there was the news on CBS, and there was CBS's late night programming, and then it's 2 o'clock and you're still in a bender, and now you have Suzanne Summers trying to sell you something.
But like back in the day, like I'd just be stuck watching one for 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm gonna see what's going on with whatever weird product we got here.
Did you ever buy a set of knives or a...
Have I ever bought anything from an infomercial? I don't think I've ever bought anything. There was one back in the day that we used to always call in college, and just make really terrible jokes about. It was an infomercial for like a real estate, like a book package, for like real estate. Like it was like to flip houses or something of that nature, right? Some kind of scheme, basically, right? and this guy was named like Don LaPrey or something, Don something, and it was called Don's Package.
Also could be the title of a pornographic film.
We would just exactly. So we would just call in and ask the poor operators when we were like not sober, like how big Don's package was and what the satisfaction guarantees were and things like that.
Maybe it was like Hitch's package. Maybe it was superhuman.
Not Hitch. Hitch had a superhuman package too.
Oh,
that's why he was so confident.
Hancock's package.
That's why Hitch was so confident with the ladies.
Obviously. We ordered one off an infomercial in college. I think that might be a big market segment for them. And it was a set of knives. And in the infomercial, what they showed was that people would throw apples at this guy and he'd just chop it. Now there's an iPhone app called Fruit Ninja.
It's basically Fruit Ninja.
This was Fruit Ninja in real life in like 2003. So we got it, and we got all these apples and all this shit, and we threw it, and you can't chop it. The best you can do if you hit it right on is it'll stick on the knife. You cannot slice the knife. You cannot slice the fruit. We thought about using tomatoes, but that would have been like a catastrophic mess, and we already lived in a cesspool.
Yeah, that was a good choice not to do the tomatoes.
It would have been kind of fun, though, you must admit.
Yeah, you could have done it outside. I mean, it's college. That's the only place where you could do something like that outside.
And like no one takes a peek. Like you're standing out there with what amounts to a machete, and people are just like, okay.
Yeah.
So we agree. We had a fairly similar list of a fairly bad topic. Anything else we should be adding before we?
I don't think so. I think we should just let everybody know. Follow us on Facebook if you somehow are listening to this and you don't. I mean, like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to the iTunes. All that good stuff. Tell your friends.
Please do. We only have so many friends, and we've already spammed them.
And you're probably listening to it right now. We've spammed them.
So please tell your friends.
Yeah, and if you got any suggestions for anything, you can email us at firstoftheworst@gmail.com.
And tell them that our iTunes page considers what the WTF podcast with Mark Maron to be similar. According to iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes thinks we're like just as good. Basically, is how I take that.
Yeah, it's only the most popular podcast on earth.
So I mean, just jump on board early. So you can tell all your friends, so your friends can tell all their friends that they were here first.
Please do, yeah, absolutely.
And we'll probably have another podcast for you tomorrow if you care at all about the NCAA tournament, or if you just like listening to us talk.
Also, I'll have an NCAA tournament preview article, which I'll post to the worst page, coming out on CBS Chicago probably on Tuesday, and It's a big week for First of the Worst, so we're doubling down on podcast, and this article will be out. And Steve is the consummate gambler, so he'll be giving you some very solid tips.
I'll be giving you good gambling advice, and Brendan will be giving you actual college basketball knowledge.
But neither of those things matter when it comes to doing your pool. We should point out.
All right, we don't want to talk about this too much, since we're going to spend probably an hour talking about it tomorrow.
All right, you are correct. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We will catch you hopefully twice this week, and if not, next week.
All right, later.